Hari Om. I start with a prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mamadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. So now we are addressing what are the fundamental issues that are involved in the Advaita Vedanta. So this has to be clear, and once we have deeply understanding it, then the rest of the text and rest of any other discourses will become much clear. So in this we are going to address what are the basic fundamental issues and what are the objections to it by other acharyas also. In that way the knowledge will be firmly rooted without any doubts. So the question number one is, what is there and how did it come and so forth. So the Vedanta is a scripture to tell us this. So in fact all religions talk about that how did this world came into picture. So the first thing is, it is a creation. So it's a creation. Why do you say it's a creation? Because nothing can come randomly. So in the United States there is a problem. We should teach evolutionary theory but not creation. And the creative people say no, we should not teach evolution theory, it's by creation. But evolution and creation are not, from the Vedanta point, they are not contradictory. So evolution at the point of anatomical evolution is accepted because that is the anatomy from amoeba to all the way to complex beings. There is an evolution in terms of change in the complexity as one goes from the more refined the being. So therefore we have no problem in terms of the taking the scientific analysis, which is an objective analysis of the physiological systems, and that is what anatomical evolution is. But Vedanta talks about not the evolution of the anatomical evolution, but it's the spiritual evolution, where in the spiritual evolution man is an intelligent animal, starts with human being itself, because there is a willful action and ignorance is a problem. And that ignorance coming because of the ignorance and taking not myself as I am, and all other things will start coming, and that's how the Acharya are going to describe. So the fundamental is, this is a creation, and because even evolution presupposes there is something has to evolve. It doesn't care something randomly. So even science-wise, there is a Big Bang. So what was there before the Big Bang? You cannot ask that question, neither there can be an answer to the question. Why? Because the Big Bang itself is a singularity. Before and after cannot be asked, because the time itself concept comes after the bang only. Therefore, where did the Big Bang occur? Again, you are talking about spatial location of the Big Bang, but fact of the matter is, Big Bang occurred everywhere, and everywhere is again concept, because we have to use some kind of a time and a space in order to explain it. At the same time, it is what is called a singular, where we cannot say what was before, we can only say afterwards. So same way, we cannot say, when we say before creation what was there, it's the scripture statements is only for understanding purposes, because the creation itself is infinite. We call it a creation because this is a systematic, well-behaved, ordered system. So it is a system where the universal laws are applicable, whether it's to go galaxies away or here. Those are the laws that a scientist is discovering, and in the process of discovery he doesn't invent a law, he's only discover what is there available in the creation itself. And sitting in one corner of the earth, he can deduce some of the laws that are applicable galaxies and galaxies away, only because system is a well-behaved system. system, an ordered system, and therefore whatever the laws that I reduce are same laws or universal laws applicable anywhere in the universe. Therefore it is a well systematized, and therefore it is an order. Therefore there is an order can only be done by a creation process, and therefore it is a creation. So then therefore question is, why did it create, how did it create, what was there before creation? All these questions come into picture. Even a scientist trying to find out what are the fundamental particles before anything came. But what he does is, or what he ignores is, that he is using a conscious entity and doesn't include the consciousness in the analysis of the system. So he is only taking a partial system of a matter only. How did the matter came? He doesn't ask the question, how did the conscious came? So consciousness came only accidentally according to him, because he has no tools to analyze even consciousness. Even consciousness is trying to objectify in terms of waves and neurons and so forth, but neurons are not consciousness, they are particles, still inert particles. Therefore, what is that because of which I can even know neurons? That conscious entity is not subject to investigation by a conscious entity, because if I try to investigate the consciousness, it becomes an objectified and it's no more conscious entity. Therefore, only way to investigate or a means of knowledge is only as per this Vedanta, where it tries to inquire using the very conscious entity, trying to inquire what does it really mean and the very source of it. And that's how says what was there is Brahman alone was there before creation. It's in the form of Sat, pure existence. It is one without a second. That means it is infinite. So fundamental postulate of the Vedanta, all philosophical traditions is, what is there is Brahman, which is of the nature of pure existence. Sadeva Saumya Idamagramasid. Existence alone was there before creation. And it is Ekam Eva Advitiyam. It is one without a second. So all means it is only one, but it means that there is no difference of any kind in that, because it is infinite. So logically, from infinite point, it cannot be made up of any parts. So parts don't make infinite. By adding parts, nothing can be infinite. Only the infinite is infinite, or means there is no divisions of any kind in the infinite. It is pure existence. Existence cannot be divided. Existence cannot have a limit. If I say existence is only up to this point, we ask the question, what was there before on the other side of the existence? If there is, that means that exists. That means existence extends. So existence has to be infinite. And therefore Brahman is itself is infinite, and the root of the word Brahman is Bruhat, means that which is very big, that means unqualifiedly big, that means it is infinite. And infinite cannot be defined, because any definition is applicable to finite things. Therefore all scriptures essentially, Advaita Vedanta rests at the point that it is infinite, but it is the nature of pure existence. In the statement existence alone, because it has to exist. We are not talking about non-existent Brahman. We are talking about existent one, because everything has to exist, and law of conservation is proposed that what exists can never cease to exist. That's what Krishna talks in the second chapter of Gita. Says, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satha. That which exists can never cease to exist. That which is non-existent can never come into existence. It's absolute law of conservation that matter exists and it can never come into non-existent matter can never come into existence. Only matter can undergo from one form to other. The same way, law of conservation of energy, and now this is absolute law of conservation, where existence either in the matter form or in the form of an energy or any other form is only possible, and that which exists can never cease to exist, and therefore that is the essence what is called Brahman. So fundamental postulates of all Vedantin as well as all other disease, creation has to be infinite, and that Brahman which is cause for the creation is infinite. So this is the first aspect of the Vedanta, and it cannot exclude anything or it cannot include anything because it's infinite. If it excludes something, then infinite cannot be infinite by mere exclusion. Therefore, infinite should include everything. At the same time, it cannot include any particular things because itself is infinite. That means there are no parts in it. Therefore, it is indivisible. Therefore, there are no inclusions or exclusions. It is just pure existence of the nature. And the scripture Vedanta points out, the Mahavakya or the great statement of Vedanta is Prajnanam Brahma. Consciousness is Brahman, or consciousness is infinite. So just now we said existence is infinite. Now that existence is of the nature of consciousness. Therefore consciousness is same as existence. They are not two different things, because in infinite we cannot differentiate anything. Therefore it is consciousness which is a prajnanam, and therefore prajnanam Brahma means the pure consciousness is infinite. Is another statement that comes from the Vedanta. So scripture says consciousness is infinite. So an objective scientist is trying to investigate what is consciousness. According to Vedanta, you can never investigate because it is infinite. Infinite is not a subject for investigation because infinite includes the investigator also. So, and investigation too. So therefore there cannot be any individual differences of any kind in that. So the first statement itself says Brahman is of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda, called Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. This is called the Swarupa Lakshanam of Brahman. And therefore the whole Vedanta starts with this statement that Brahman alone was there before, and it is of the nature of existence, and the same existence is also of conscious existence. We are not talking about unconscious existence. It is consciousness, and consciousness has to exist. So Sat Eva Chit and Chit Eva Sat, and both being infinite. So it is Anantam. Anantam means infinite, and which means limitless, and limitless is Anandam. Because any limitations causes a problem. Therefore only limitless alone is the pure happiness. Therefore pure happiness, Anandam, or the existence or consciousness, all are essentially description of Brahman, and that is only from our point, because from the point of Brahman, its being of infinite nature, nothing else exists other than Brahman. If something else exists, then Brahman ceases to be Brahman. That's why called Purnamadam. That totality itself is infinite, and that's what has to be the foundation of all Vedantic teachings. Now the question it is, now what is this creation? From Brahman point, there is no creation. So yes, that is Vedanta says. So Brahman point, there cannot be any creation. Why? Because that's logically not possible to have a creation, because creation itself involves a modification, a transformation. Only finite things can transform. Infinite cannot transform, cannot undergo any change. Change occurs only for a finite things. Being infinite, so it cannot undergo a change, and creation involves a modification, and therefore there cannot be any creation from the point of Brahman. So this also has to be understood from the Vedanta point. So Advaita Vedanta says in fact that there is no creation. Why? Because logically infinite cannot undergo a creation. It's called vikaratvam, or that modification, and infinite cannot undergo modification. Therefore the infinite Brahman cannot be a source of creation at all. That has to be recognized from the point of creation. And from the logically also, infinite cannot undergo any creation also. So that also has to be implied. So the question is now, from the point of myself, I am asking a question, what is this? So I see all differences and all that. So the whole teaching starts from the absolute point. Nothing can be said, and no words can reach there, no description can reach there, and only says because infinite cannot be described other than saying it is not finite. And anything that I add to it is only from my local description to understand what it, try to understand what it is, but itself from that point nothing can be said. It says Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. So scripture itself says that words cannot reach there because the words themselves are finite. To say the words, there has to be somebody to say it, and is trying to objectify, and that cannot be objectified. Even Advaita is only with reference to the person who is trying to understand it. From the point of Brahman, no words, no description can be possible. It's pure Satchid Ananda Swarupam, and from that point there is no creation, and that means there is no creation, there is no pursuit of knowledge, there is no pursuit of happiness, there is no pursuit of anything, no pursuit, because there is no one who is trying to pursue it also. It is one without a second. This has to be understood clearly, and that's the basis of Advaita Vedanta also. It says Brahman is Satchidanam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma is the nature of the infinite itself. And therefore, but when I say I am seeing creation, then we are coming to a level of the Vyavaharika Satyam, a transactional reality, because there is a questionnaire, and therefore I am an individual, and I am looking at the world, and I am seeing creation and asking a question, where did it come from? And that's how an inquiry started. Since there is something that which is different from the Brahman, then we have questioned, how did it come into picture, how the creation occurred. So now we have different theories. Now we're coming down from the infinite pure Satchidananda to find out how did this creation came. And that's also explained by the Vedantic scripture. It says that from which the whole universe is that came into different things in terms of how it started. Akashat Vayu, Vayu Agnihi, Agnihi Apaha, Abja Prithvi, Prithivya Voshadaya, Voshadibhyonnam, and that's how the creation has been explained in the Taittiriya Upanishad. It says from the subtlest point we have subtle elements of Akasha, Vayu, Agnihi, Apaha, Prithvi, that means space, Akasha, Vayu, the next level which is pervading is the gaseous state, and Akasha, Vayu, then from there the energy state, Agni, and from there the water liquid state and the solid state. So grossification, the grosser and grosser products came from what? From pure Brahman. This coming is only apparent creation. Why? Because Brahman cannot create, because Brahman is infinite. Infinite cannot undergo any creation. So the creation itself becomes an apparent because of this problem. What's the problem? Fundamentally there cannot be creation, but I am seeing a creation, and therefore an explanation is given until I understand there is no creation. So this is how the Vedanta goes step by step from where I am to the goal that I had to reach, and that has to be is called Adhyara Apavada. System of philosophical teaching is required in order to go. That's why Tad Vijnanartham sa Gurum Eva Abhigacche. You approach a teacher for this study only, so that how apparently so many things of distinctions of varieties and varieties of the whole universe is, at the same time from the point of absolute where it's Satchidananda Swarupam, how do we compromise these two at the same time, understand and more or less gain the knowledge that I want to gain. All that is implied in the analysis. You going somewhere? Oh, you want 20 minutes over? Okay, you stop, Amma. Okay, let's say we'll do puja. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Stop,